While we still don't know what they'll announce in Pokémon Day 2024, in fact, I don't think we've ever been this much in the dark, there's one possibility that interests me a lot. Those are Gen 5 sequels of Black 3 and White 3, a story happening in Unova, but instead of a repeat of previous stories, it is a completely new one that interests new players while still bringing older players nostalgia from the Gen 5 days. But looking back at that, are there any loose ends? So hey, I'm not so ace trainer, and what could they explore in Gen 5 sequels? Let's get into it. We're going to start with one that, at first glance, would work better as a Legends game, but after Sword and Shield exploring so much of Galar's history, I could see it as a modern game as well, and that is the relic stuff. We can find the items related to this civilization in the Abyssal Ruins, a place that has been recently name-dropped by Rhyforge in the Indigo Disc. But most important of all, we can visit the desert ruins and see the remnants of what it once was. These items, the relic items, were created 3,000 years before the events of the Unova games, which is always a pretty interesting date in Pokémon lore, and it is said that these ruins are from a city built by one of the twin heroes and his legendary dragon. It was flourishing 2,500 years ago, but it eventually fell. Maybe we could have a history-focused adventure that explores the ins and outs of the relic people and why their fate was not that great. Was it the war that broke between the twin brothers? And if so, where did the other brother raise his own city? Maybe while we're at it, we can also find out about the mysterious Dragon Spiral Tower and why it can create legendary Pokémon. But what else do we have that can be explored for a future Gen 5 game? A common mystery we see being talked about is what happened to Hilda and Hilbert, since they are said to be searching for Anne in a faraway region, but in those same games, we have Anne coming back, but not them. With the current state of things where we see people being transported through timelines like in Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet, or back in time like in Legends Arceus, could something similar have happened to them? And since we're at it, what happened that took Ingo to the past, and how has Hammett been dealing with it all? It would be strange to see Ingo in history and have it never be addressed. Or maybe it is their way of not having a battle facility in Gen 5 like in Ours, or Ingo is in the past, no battle subway for anyone, who knows. But still, it is no secret how unstable the Pokemon world really is. I mean, disaster after disaster keeps almost repeating, like the Darkest Day and the Ultra Beast invasion, for example. So it would be interesting to know why they never came back and if that has something to do with them. And also, since we mentioned N, is a very good plot point to explore. Black and White tells us that N was spotted in the faraway region, flying on his legendary dragon before the events of Pokémon Black 2 and White 2. This region was never named, but considering how Pokémon has been trying to connect every single past region through little bits of lore, it would be interesting to find if the region N was spotted in is an actual region we know or if it is a completely new place. And if that's the case, we could even see an interesting hint at what that region could be, just like we had the strange souvenir in Pokémon X and Y, hinting at our adventures in the Alola region. That could start the Gen 10 speculation at full force, and I would absolutely love it. It would also be very interesting to know if N still has his dragon, and if so, what would we have to do in order for him to give it to us, especially considering the biggest mystery everyone wants to be explored is actually the original dragon. It is very likely that whatever Gen 5 stuff comes our way, it will culminate in us finally seeing the original dragon, and for that, we'll likely need every single part of this unknown Pokemon. That means that we will have to get Kyurem, the free dragon, and the dragon that N has. Considering how N behaves, I would easily see it giving up his dragon if he trusts us, so I'm really curious to see what would make him do that. My bet is Colress doing bad stuff, especially considering how he's the one that's searching for the true strength of Pokemon that seems to be everywhere. Maybe the original dragon would be what he deems the most powerful Pokemon. But in the end, of course, all of this would finally have us use the fabled God Stone that was left in the code for Gen 5 but was unobtainable, hopefully until now, to recreate what is said to be the most powerful dragon of all and stop whatever menace there is. Or, in true modern Pokemon fashion, have a boss battle against it like the one versus Eternatus or Terrapagos. There's honestly so much to explore and so many characters to meet again and see what happened to them since we last saw them. You know, people like Alder, people like Iris, like Drayden, and even Gexis, since he was never caught. But another thing I'm very curious about is where the Blueberry Academy actually is and if we'll interact with anyone from there. Like for example, Briar. She completely disappeared after the end of the Indigo Disc, and with the amount of lore that character must know, I'm very disappointed in that. She's likely from the Unova region and her book is sure to make the rounds. The publisher she left to meet with is also likely from there, so I wouldn't be surprised if whatever game comes next has a bit of a Gen 9 tie-in. Could Terra energy be affecting the Unova region? Could that be because of all of Briar's experiments, maybe some we have never seen or heard, and better yet, could it all have something to do with the Intralink and how it always seemed to connect things that should be unconnectable? We can't forget that there was an image in the monochrome style for the League room that showed both Black City and White Forest in the same reality. Could something have happened that connected both places at once? Is it finally time to see Pokemon Gray? And that is all I have for you today. There is honestly so much to explore in new Gen 5 games, new Gen 5 sequels, and I really hope they take their chances. But what about you? What do you hope to see if they ever release a Gen 5 sequel? Let me know in the comments down below. And now, like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon content and also ring the bell so you know when the next video is out. Also, check out my merch or consider becoming a channel member in order to support me even further. I'd be forever thankful for that. You can also follow me on social media or check out one of my streams here and on Twitch. All the links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.